Okay, guys, I've found something really awesome. The ending prediction of Ghostface. Someone is talking about it right here. And he explains it's not revenge. The reveal in Scream 7 actually has an explanation to it. And I found this video and I want you guys to watch it and watch it carefully. Let's get down to it. Let's go.
Told you by Alicia that Scream 7 has already told us who Ghostface is, and most fans are completely missing it. Not through a trailer, not through a leak, but through a pattern that the franchise has never broken. Because Scream has never been about who wears the mask, it's always been about why. And if you understand the why, the ending of Scream 7 becomes terrifyingly predictable.
Told
Today, we're
ya.
breaking down the most likely Scream 7 ending, how Ghostface is revealed, who's behind the mask, and why this reveal could be the darkest twist the franchise has ever pulled. And
Told ya.
warning, this is full spoiler speculation, hardcore fan territory, and by the end of this video, you might never look at certain characters the same way again. Let's start with one brutal truth. Scream 7 cannot end like the other movies.
Yep,
the franchise
that's
has
true.
reached a point
It
where
ends in the
another
cliffhanger.
surprise killer reveal isn't enough. Another last-minute monologue won't shock fans, and another copy-paste motive would feel lazy, which means...
See? A surprise reveal killer is not enough. See?
the
Told ya.
ending has to something. Scream has avoided for nearly 30 years, and that's where this theory begins. If you look at every Scream movie, there's one unspoken rule. Ghostface is never just a killer. Ghostface represents the theme of that movie. Scream, 1996, was about horror obsession. Scream 2 was about sequels and escalation. Scream 3 was about control and manipulation. Scream 4 was about fame. Scream 5 was about toxic fandom. Scream 6 was about legacy and revenge. So ask yourself this. What is Scream 7 really about? Not the kills, not the mask, not even the returning characters. It's about survivors who are tired of surviving, and that single idea changes everything.
See? It's not about the kills. It's not about the mask. It's about survivors that are tired of running and surviving. See? There's a plot twist that no one knew. Keep watching.
Leaks and insider chatter have all pointed to the same thing, a much darker tone, more brutal kills, less comedy, and a story that's emotionally exhausting, not fun, that tells us one thing very clearly. Scream 7 isn't trying to make you laugh, it's trying to make you uncomfortable. And when Scream gets uncomfortable, the ending always hurts.
Oh, see? Scream 7 is not trying to... He's right, though. Scream 7 is not trying to make you It's trying to make you uncomfortable. And if the fans gets uncomfortable, the truth and the ending of the cliffhanger, it's going to hurt. And it's going to hurt real bad. Keep watching and listening.
Here's the most important clue nobody is talking about. Scream 7 is positioned as a transition film, not a finale, which means the ending doesn't just reveal Ghostface, but it redefines the franchise going forward. And historically, when Scream does that, one of two things happens. The killer survives, or the killer is someone we were never supposed to suspect morally, not logically.
Oh, see? There's two cliffhanger endings there. One is the killer survives. One is the killer survives. Two, it's someone that you never expected. Keep watching and keep listening, and you're going to know what I'm talking about.
Morally, someone fans protect, someone fans excuse, someone fans sympathize with. And in Scream 7, that's exactly why the identity reveal hits harder than ever. So here's how this video is going to work. First, we'll break down why the ending reveal has to be personal. Then we'll walk through the character logic that points to Ghostface. After that, we'll predict how the final scene actually plays out. And finally, I'll explain why Scream 7 might end without real closure at all. But before we do any of that, let me ask you something. Do you think Scream Scream 7 has one killer or two? Because your answer to that question determines whether this ending is shocking or absolutely devastating. If Scream 7 wants its ending to hurt, then Ghostface can't just be another angry psycho with a knife. It has to be someone whose reveal makes fans stop and say, wait, that actually makes sense. And that immediately eliminates half the suspects. Because Scream doesn't pick killers based on shock alone. It picks them based on emotional logic. So let's narrow this down the smart way. First, let's talk about who Ghostface is not. It's not going to be the obvious angry new character, the random background figure with no emotional weight, or someone introduced just to die or be revealed at the end. Scream has never done that. Every Ghostface has one thing in common. They feel entitled to their pain being acknowledged. They don't think they're evil. They think they're right. And that's where Scream 7 gets dangerous. Here's the core theme again. Survivor trauma. Not fear, not revenge, but exhaustion. Years of surviving attacks, years of funerals, years of being...
See? This Scream 7 is not about revenge. It's about exhaustion. That means it's about people who ran away from Ghostface all their lives, like Sidney Prescott. They just want their lives to end. They don't want to run anymore. They just want to sit and fight in the mercy of Ghostface. Listen up carefully. Watch this.
Told you're strong, and that creates something scarier than rage. It creates resentment. Now think about this. In previous Scream films, survivors were rewarded. They lived. They became heroes. They were admired, but Scream 7 is rumored to flip that completely. Instead of asking, Habi, how do you survive Ghostface? It asks, what if surviving is the punishment? That immediately points the finger toward a character who has survived too much, has lost too much.
See? They're saying, right? He's saying right now, what if surviving is the punishment? Who survives too much and lost everybody she loved? That would be Sidney Prescott. So Sidney Prescott will die in this movie because she doesn't want to live anymore. Through all the trauma she went through. Keep listening.
Much, and is constantly expected to carry the emotional burden for everyone else. Someone who doesn't snap suddenly, but slowly, quietly. And this is where fans get uncomfortable, because the most likely Ghostface candidate in Scream 7 isn't evil. They're just done. Done being hunted, done being the target, done being the symbol of survival. They don't want to be the final girl or final guy anymore. They want the story to end. And they're willing to end it themselves. Now here's the detail most people overlook. Ghostface doesn't need to be physically dominant anymore. They don't need strength. They need access. And survivors have the most access of all. They're trusted, they're protected, they're never suspected, which makes them perfect. Let me be clear, this doesn't mean Scream 7 is saying trauma turns people evil. It's saying trauma changes people. And the ending reveal isn't meant to make you cheer. It's meant to make you feel conflicted, to question whether the killer is wrong about or if the cycle itself is the real villain. Now imagine the final act. The mask comes off. Instead of screaming madness, we get calm. Instead of a rant, we get honesty. A line like, I didn't want to kill anymore. I just wanted it to stop. That would be the most Scream ending ever. And it would explain why Scream 7 feels darker, heavier, and more emotionally brutal than anything before it. But here's the twist. What if Ghostface isn't alone? What if the survivor didn't plan everything, but inspired someone else to help? Someone who represents the other side of the trauma. And that's where this theory gets even more disturbing, because if Scream 7 has two killers, they're not partners, they're reflections. And the ending reveal makes that crystal clear.
See? If there's two killers in Scream 7, they're not partners. Which means if it's not Stumacher killing, and if Stumacher is killing, but there's another Ghostface running around. But they're not partners. Keep listening.
Alright, let's stop being vague. If Scream 7 is truly about survivor exhaustion, then Ghostface can only be one type of character, a survivor who has outlived their purpose, not someone new, not someone angry about the past, someone who has been carrying the franchise's emotional wait for too long because Scream has reached a point where the killer reveal isn't about surprise anymore, it's about meaning. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Scream 7 doesn't need a villain, it needs a breaking point. And that breaking point has a face fans already trust. Think about how Scream killers are always hidden in plain sight. They're never invisible, they're familiar. They're close to the emotional center of the story, which means Ghostface in Scream 7 isn't lurking on the edges. They're standing right in the middle of the group, listening, watching, absorbing everything. Now let's talk behavior, because Scream always telegraphs the killer through behavior, not dialogue. Ask yourself, who keeps trying to move on? Who avoids talking about the past? Who shuts down conversations about Ghostface? Who looks tired instead of scared? That's not weak.
Okay. This is another part. Who looks tired and scared? Who does not want to think about the past anymore? Who's tired of running and being scared? Sidney Prescott. Keep listening.
That's detachment, and detachment is always the final step before violence. In Scream, here's another massive clue. In almost every Scream movie, the killer wants recognition, but Scream 7 flips that. This killer doesn't want attention. They want control. They want to decide when it ends, who lives, who dies, and who stops being a victim. That's not a revenge motive, that's a mercy motive, at least in their mind. Now picture the reveal scene. No dramatic...
See? Ghostface in Scream 7 wants to be in control. He wants to choose who lives and who dies. It's not a revenge motive, like he said. It's a mercy. That means Ghostface wants mercy. He doesn't want revenge. He doesn't want blood. He wants mercy.
Scream. No maniacal laugh, just exhaustion. The mask comes off, and instead of rage, we see relief, like they're finally done pretending. And the person they reveal themselves to isn't the police. It's another survivor, someone who understands. Which is why the reveal doesn't trigger a fight immediately. It triggers a conversation, a quiet one, and that alone would make it the most disturbing Ghostface reveal in the franchise. But here's where Scream 7 twists the knife. This survivor isn't acting alone. Because trauma doesn't isolate it, it spreads. The second Ghostface isn't the mastermind. They're the follower. The proof that pain is contagious, someone who didn't plan to kill until they were shown a reason. That's why the final act isn't about stopping Ghostface. It's about choosing whether the cycle deserves to continue. And that decision is placed in the hands of someone we never expected to make it. Someone who represents the future of Scream. And that brings us to the ending. Because Scream 7 doesn't end with victory. It ends with ambiguity. With a choice left unresolved. With the audience asking, did the killer really lose? Or did they finally win? And if that sounds uncomfortable, good. That's exactly the point. By the time Scream 7 reaches its final act, the movie has already made one thing clear. There is no safe space left. Not the house, not the hospital, not even being together, which is why the ending doesn't happen in chaos. It happens in silence. The final sequence likely strips everything down. No party, no crowd, no big spectacle. Just a small group of survivors, exhausted, bleeding, and emotionally wrecked. That's when Ghostface stops hiding, because at this point they don't need the mask anymore. Here's how the confrontation plays out. Ghostface lures the remaining characters to a location tied to...
Oh, Scream 7 ending will lure Sidney Prescott, Gail Weathers, Chad Meeks, Mindy Meeks, Gail Weathers, and Sidney's daughter Tatum, and her husband. The remaining survivors are going to look at the public. No fucking way. Okay, keep watching.
Directly to survival, not death. A place where someone lived when they shouldn't have. A place that represents the end of the story. And that's intentional. Because this Ghostface doesn't want to scare them. They want them to understand. When the attack happens, it's fast. One character dies suddenly. Not in a flashy way, but brutally and quietly. No music.
Oh, see? This Ghostface does not want to hurt nobody. He wants to stop the war. And all the killings that the rest of the Ghostface did, he just wants to have mercy on people. That's why when he slashes and that's why when he kills people, he kills them brutally and quick. And that's why there's so much blood. Because Ghostface is sick and tired of people forgetting about him. So Stu Macher is actually Ghostface, but he's going to have another helper, but they're not going to be partners. And that's the fucked up thing. This changes everything. Keep watching.
Sting. No dramatic build-up, just the reality that survival doesn't make you untouchable, and that death serves one purpose. To prove this Ghostface isn't bluffing, then comes the reveal. The mask comes off, and the movie does something Scream rarely does. It pauses. No screaming, no immediate stabbing, just breathing, and the reveal lands not because of who it is, but because of how calm they are. They explain that this wasn't about revenge, it was about ending the cycle, about stopping the phone calls, stopping the anniversaries, stopping the constant trauma loop.
Okay, now I know this part is going to be fucked up for Scream 7, but the ending, he's trying to stop the killings. He's trying to stop the trauma that everybody goes through, and that's why he's killing everybody in the 7th movie. Because he doesn't want to kill anymore. He just wants the trauma for everyone to stop. And that's why Ghostface is so pissed off, because all the other Ghostface never followed his lead. They all killed when they wanted to. They all always wanted fame. They always wanted fame and revenge. And that's big. And Stu Macher said on the teaser trailer that it's not about revenge. It's not about the blood, and it's not about the past. Because if you watch Scream 7 Stu Macher teaser, and you watch what I'm watching now, it's going to tell you everything you need to know about the ending cliffhanger. This is... Okay, I can't wait to watch this. Let's go on.
In their mind, Ghostface isn't a monster, it's a solution. Now here's the most important part of the ending. The final survivor doesn't immediately fight back. They listen, because on some level, they understand. And that's where Scream 7 becomes dangerous, because it asks the audience a question it's never asked before. If the cycle never ends, is stopping it really wrong? But Scream never lets the killer win easily. The second Ghostface, the follower, panics. They weren't built for this moment. They wanted chaos. They wanted justification, not quiet accountability, and that's when everything collapses. A mistake, a slip, a moment of fear, and the plan falls apart. The final fight is messy, not heroic, not stylish, just desperate. And when it's over, only one Ghostface is confirmed dead. The other, unclear. No body, no confirmation, just blood and silence. The movie doesn't end with police lights and relief. IT ends with survivors sitting in the aftermath. No victory speech, no "we did it." Just the realization that even if Ghostface is gone, the damage isn't. The final shot lingers. A phone buzzes, and instead of answering it, the survivor lets it ring. Cut to black. That's not closure. That's a warning. Because Scream 7 doesn't want you walking out relieved, it wants you unsettled. Questioning whether the real horror was the killer, or the story that never stops repeating. When Scream 7 ends, it doesn't give you answers, it gives you questions. And that's why this ending works, because the most terrifying idea Scream 7 introduces isn't that Ghostface might still be out there. It's that Ghostface might not matter anymore. Think about what this ending really says. The killer wasn't born from obsession. They weren't chasing fame. They weren't copying movies. They were trying to escape the story. And that alone makes this the most self-aware Scream film ever made, because...
See? Every Ghostface that died from Scream 1 to 7, they're not the real Ghostface. The real Ghostface don't want blood. The real Ghostface don't want revenge. He wants mercy. He wants to leave all the killings behind. So I think the Ghostface that wants to leave the killings behind, I think that's the secret Ghostface that nobody knows. And it's not Stu Macher. I think it's Leslie Macher. Because Stu Macher wants revenge, but Leslie Macher don't. She wants to end the killings. So it's not Stu Macher that's the Stu Macher may be the killer in the seventh, or he's just going to be a flashback or an AI, or a video, or making a video, or made a video just like Randy did in Scream 3. But all the other Ghostface, they never listened to the rules. They never listened to the rules. And this is why there's no rules in Scream 7. Because all the rules has been broken by Scream 6, Scream 5, Scream 4, Scream 3, 2, and 1. All the rules have already been broken from Scream 1 to Scream 6. So that makes a lot of sense why they would make a Scream 7 and 8. So, to be honest, I think it's going to be the last movies. I don't think there's going to be any more after this. But keep watching.
Scream 7 isn't just about horror tropes. It's about the cost of never letting trauma end. If only one Ghostface body is confirmed, that's not an accident. Scream has always used uncertainty as a weapon. No body means the cycle could continue, or it could already be over, or it could be waiting for someone else to pick it up. And that's where the franchise future comes in. Scream 7 doesn't scream final chapter. It whispers transition. This ending allows the franchise to go in multiple directions. A sequel where Ghostface becomes an idea, not a person. A story where survivors are no longer heroes, or a future where the line between victim and villain is completely erased. That's dangerous territory, and Scream has never been afraid of danger. Now let's answer the biggest question. Did Ghostface lose? On paper, yes. The killings stop, the mask comes off, the night ends. But emotionally, Ghostface wins something far worse. They force the survivors and the audience to admit something uncomfortable, that the system failed them, that survival isn't victory, and that continuing the story might be the real violence. That's not a slasher ending, that's a horror ending. And that's why Scream 7 might be the most divisive entry yet. Some fans will hate it, some will call it too dark. Some will say it betrays the fun of the franchise, but others, they'll recognize exactly what Scream has always done best: evolve. Because Scream doesn't just ask who the killer is, it asks, why do we keep watching? Why do we keep wanting more? And what happens when the characters are done entertaining us? That's a question no Ghostface knife can answer. So if this theory is even close to right, Scream 7 won't be remembered for its kills, it'll be remembered for the moment the franchise looked at its own audience and said, what if the horror never ended, monsieur? Because we don't let it? Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Scream 7 ends the Ghostface cycle or guarantees it continues? Do you believe the killer deserved sympathy or punishment? And most importantly, would you accept a Scream movie without closure? If you enjoyed this breakdown, you'll want to check out my full Ghostface identity theory, where I go even deeper into the clues pointing at the killer. And if you love movies and Scream theories, speculation, and deep dives like this, make sure you're subscribed, because once Scream 7 releases, everything changes.
Okay. Now, Movie Minute Reviews 1, you better subscribe to him, because he knows the ending of Scream 7. This is not a joke. This will be the scariest shit. This will be the scariest moment ending ever, because because he's going to unmask himself public, like I said it before. It's going to be a public unmask. They're not going to try to kill him. They're going to try to talk to him and listen to him quietly to see what the hell's going on. And that's the cliffhanger to Scream 8. That's what continues the franchise. This was never done, but this public unmasking has never done before. And instead of Sidney Prescott and the rest of them killing him, they're going to talk to him after he unmasked himself. So you better get ready to watch Scream 7 February 27th in theaters, because you're going to need to watch it before that. So I'll see you on the next one. And I hope you subscribe to my channel. and slash that like button like Scream Face. Just and show mercy, just like Scream 7 ending. Let's get there. Let's go. And whoever's new to my channel, please subscribe. Let's get down to it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.